How do you feel about having a second shooter? Do you always need one, or is it something that maybe is not always required?
It's not always required. I do prefer to have a second shooter if I can, only because you get those special moments more. It's like the whole Moore's commercial where they say when everybody's looking at her, she'll be looking at him. Mm-hmm. You get to capture that moment. You get to capture the moment of her coming down the aisle, and your second photographer can capture his reaction of her coming down the aisle. Whereas it can still potentially be done with one photographer, but it's 10 times easier when you have to. Or when there's a formal photos going on and your main photographer is gathering the family together for a certain shot, and the flower girl and ring boy are off playing or playing hide and seek or something, your second shooter can capture those moments that are behind your back, per se.
Perfect. How do you feel when people say they have a friend doing their photography, and what advice can you give to them?
Well, it goes back to the old saying of you get what you pay for. So you really want to know if that friend is qualified to do the job, because it is your wedding. It's a once-in-a-lifetime event that's going to happen. You can't go back and reenact the first kiss, because it's not going to be the same. Yes, you can reenact a cake cutting or you can reenact a garter toss, but if you're having your friend do your photos, they need to know a little bit of what they're doing, and you need to be comfortable with the type of photography that you're going to end up in the end with.
How many hours of wedding day coverage do clients typically need?
Typically, you need anywhere between 8 to 12 hours of photography, I would say. With myself, my different packages do range in those time frames. I do have shorter packages as well as up to the 12-hour mark. It just gives you enough coverage of time in there to capture everything and every little moment that needs to be captured.
What's the best way to base the decision of how you want to select a photographer?
It's a lot of research. It's your comfortableness with the photographer and between the clients themselves as well. It's the wedding style that you want. It's the amount of money too that you're willing to spend, because yes, you can be comfortable with a photographer, but if it's way out of your budget, then you really have to stop and think, okay, do I really want this person, or am I willing to pay that amount of money to have that person photograph my wedding? You want to have fun with your photographer, because they are with you from start to finish. They're with you from the moment you pretty much get up to the time that you're going to bed, and they're with you every step of the way.
So it's kind of good to make sure that you're having like an engagement session or something prior so that you can see how you work with your photographer.
Engagement sessions are, I would say, a must-to-have, because that will tell you if you get along with your photographer. It will also tell you how your comfort level is with them, what kind of photography style they offer you, the quality of the product that you will be receiving in the end, whether it's in print form or digital form. It gives you the whole breakdown, and it will tell you at that point too of how many photos pretty much you can judge from that how many photos you're going to receive the day of your wedding as well. So.
Do you offer discounts to military personnel or first responders?
I do. My father-in-law is a retired police officer, and I just feel in my heart that these people are out there every day giving their lives for us, that it's only right for me to give a little bit something back to our community.
That's good. Well said.
Thank you.
If you haven't done photography at a specific venue already, will you go beforehand to do like sort of site visit?
Certainly. I feel that that's the best way to get to know the site myself. That gives me the option to figure out location areas for photos. And I'll try to go to a site at least numerous times, just to give me certain ideas of time of day as well. So if I know that the bride and groom are getting married at an outdoor location and I find out what time they're getting married at, I'll try to go back to that location around that time to see what lighting I'm dealing with.
That's always good. Lighting is super important.
Lighting is super important, because you really don't want shadows in your photos, because that's not what photos should have.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being with me here today, Ashley. Thanks for bearing the questionable weather that we've been having in Ottawa.
Thank you for having me.
And Thanks for watching, guys. I'll make sure to put all the information for Ashley in the box below so that you can contact her when you're looking for a great photographer to photograph your wedding. And if you guys have any other questions, just make sure you leave them in the comments and we'll get back to those. Thanks so much for watching, guys.